Hi everyone. If you've seen other videos on my channel, you'll know I'm a clarinetist, but I have also been doing some instrument repair for the last, I think 3 or 4 years. And here, this is my bench. I'll only show it quickly because it's such a mess, but I thought that I would talk about this buffing system that I sort of made, because it took me a really long time to figure it out, and I figure if I can save other people that time, then awesome. So this is actually an 8-inch grinder, variable speed, from Harbor Freight. Their variable grinder is no longer the Hercules brand, it's something else, but it's basically the same thing. They still have it. And I just want a variable speed instead of just a single speed. So what I did was, first of all, I mounted it on, this is a kind of universal tool stand. I mounted the grinder to this piece of wood and then the piece of wood to the stand. And then I extended this piece of wood out from the side. It's actually just clamped on with these clamps, but that's just so I can move it around if I need to or clean it. And then this is actually just a piece of, well, sheet metal. It was a beware of dog sign that I sort of bent and used some silicone to attach it, and also some screws on the bottom as well. So that's sort of the basic setup. Then I took one of the wheels off. I took the coarser grind off, because if I ever do any metal grinding, which is not frequent, I use the finer side. But I found this, and I'll put links to pretty much all of this in the description. This is a 5/8 inch Arbor, and it's bolted on with these set screws or grub screws, and the wheel is held on with these 2 plate washers basically. And to get it to fit, and I'll put a link to this wheel as well and the other one I used, I had to use I guess you'd call this probably a bushing, just to make it a little bit bigger to fit this hole. I had to use a little bit of tape to make it so that the bushing didn't move around too much. So that is how I got this all to fit. And then this sort of vacuum hood setup is basically galvanized duct work that I got from Menards, and it basically came almost as is, really sort of the perfect size. I did have to cut this hole so that the Arbor would fit, but I just put some duct tape around it so it wasn't too sharp. And then I cut this from some, I don't know if this is neoprene, but it's like a flexible vent flashing. It would go on your rooftop and a vent would go through here. I cut it to fit this Shop Vac, which I sort of roped up to this hook, but this then goes to my giant Shop Vac so that I can turn it on while it's spinning, and it hopefully sucks up some of the fibers and some of the compound that comes off. I went ahead, just to kind of match this side, I got some plexiglass, which you can see I've kind of buffed a little bit, and I didn't have a riveter at the time, so I just screwed it with these hinges to the ductwork, but works pretty well. So that's pretty much it. I have an 8-inch sewn wheel that I use for buffing nickel keys with white compound, and then I have some other wheels down here. That's a loose buff with red Rouge that I use for buffing silver. And then actually under here I have a 6-inch wheel that I use for the Music Medic Blue Hubble for when I really want to get things clean. And brush for combing, eye protection. And then also I did get this. I actually got this before I got this one, and I just couldn't return it. By the time I had tried to return it, it was already shipped, but it does fit. I got this from eBay. It's a 16 millimeter Arbor, but it actually measures, I think, exactly 5/8 of an inch, and it does work. And this, you know, it might be better just for if you really had to change wheels quite a bit. You can just pull it off and put the next one on. You have to make sure that you get one that is right-handed. Although I guess if you wanted to do the left side, you could do left-handed as well. For me, just in this space, this is exactly where I wanted the buff, and I have limited space, as you can see. So this is what works for me. All right, if you have any comments or questions, I guess leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them.